Welcome to Play in School TV episode 38. I'm Rich Prado. Two words: Tim Tebow. Before we get going on today's topic, I want to hear from you on what your thoughts are. So do one of two things. Follow me over on Twitter at Play in School and simply reply to one of my posts that has this video attached to it. Or go over to the website, playinschool.com/Tim is what we're going to use for today's video. And down at the bottom, there's a spot where you can comment. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's video. Okay, so let's get into it. Tim Tebow. Now, I come at this from a little bit different angle from everybody else. So, if you're not familiar, the really quick story is the New York Mets, let's go Mets, signed Tim Tebow to a minor league contract just a few weeks ago. Now, the talking heads, the pundits, the online gurus, the Twitter experts, everybody, the ex-ball player, the current ball player, literally everybody completely filleted the New York Mets for making this move. Except for one person, me. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. But let's talk about why all the experts didn't like this particular sign. So, first and foremost, $100,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Except for when you consider $100,000 into what the Mets spend on a yearly basis. It's chump change. It's nothing. If you want to talk about wasteful money, go Google Bobby Bonilla's New York Met last contract. So, $100,000 is nothing to a professional organization like the Mets. Why else did everybody hate the deal? Well, obviously, Tim Tebow is not really a baseball player. He hasn't played in a very long time. He hasn't played in somewhere around, let me do some quick math. I think he hasn't played baseball in about 12 to 13 years, if my math is correct. So baseball is not like riding a bike. This is something you got to do every day, and you got to stay in baseball shape. If you haven't seen a pitch in a long time, it's going to be hard to keep up. So obviously a lot of questions about the physical, the tangible. So I can see why everybody was completely upset with the deal. They thought it was unfair to somebody else. All right, I get that. Let's move on. Let's talk about why I thought it was a good deal. And this is where I want you guys to respond to me. I want to know if you think I'm crazy or if you think there's something to this. When I heard, first of all, his tryout, pretty much a joke. It probably could have been signed by the Mets without the tryout, and here's why. The second that I heard that the New York Mets signed Tim Tebow, my thoughts immediately went, ironically, to another quarterback, a guy who grew up literally just a couple miles from where I'm sitting. Name is Russell Wilson. Now you guys will say, well, Russell Wilson played college baseball. He's actually a baseball player. Okay, so Russell was signed, or he was drafted originally by the Rockies. Okay, he obviously he played a little bit of minor league ball, but was still playing college ball and then professional baseball. The Rockies eventually let him go, and then a couple years later, out of nowhere, the Texas Rangers signed Russell Wilson in what's known as the Rule 5 draft. Now, they only gave Russell $10,000. Russell doesn't need the money. Tim Tebow doesn't need the money, to be honest with you. But they signed him. The Texas Rangers now hold the rights to Russell Wilson. Okay. Is Russell Wilson ever going to play baseball? No. He's sort of busy. He's in the middle of what eventually may become a potential Hall of Fame career. The guy's an absolute stud. Why did the Rangers sign, or rather draft, Russell Wilson? I'm going to tell you. They, easily put, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Okay? This is signing Russell Wilson is all about leveling up your current players. Okay? The Rangers talked about how they want their young players to be around a leader, somebody who's won at the highest level, somebody who's been in front of temptation, a genuinely great guy. Okay, so back to Tim Tebow for a second. The second I heard that the New York Mets signed Tebow, that's where I went. I immediately went to Tim Tebow is one of the most decorated college football players in the history of NCAA football. You may not like him. I did not like him when he was at Florida. You know what, though? It's easy to root against the guy that always wins. Go look up his stats when you get a chance. All the guy did was win. And you may say, well, he's not a true quarterback. It doesn't matter. He won football games. Now, he had a little bit of a tough time in the NFL. Personally, I think if he had maybe shifted positions, get away from the quarterback position, I think he could be in the NFL today. Regardless, the guy's a winner. The guy is of strong morals, strong character, and just absolutely oozes leadership. He is a guy that, in my opinion, the New York Mets signed so that they could get their 19 to 24-year-old young guy around. The guy who just got his first big paycheck. The guy that is suddenly going to be living away from mom and dad for the first time and has money in his pocket. Okay? That's a recipe for disaster when you're investing literally millions of dollars into prospects. Most prospects are going to fizzle in the minor leagues. Now, if they can get somebody around them to come in and talk and guide them, put their arm around the guy's shoulder, and be a sounding board, more than anything, just be a positive role model, that's a $100,000 contract that has tremendous return on investment. Okay, so there's my take on Tim Tebow. The reality is the Mets, in my opinion, are trying to level up the rest of their players. They're trying to put a positive influence in their dugout, in their franchise. Now, let's go back to the Texas Rangers for a second, because I think this is an interesting side note. I had read a quote that year when the Rangers had signed Russell Wilson that said something to the effect that they will consider moving forward. Now, I don't know if they ever did this, but if you think about it, it's pretty smart. They would consider using one of their picks for a non-baseball player like a Russell Wilson for the same reason, though, to bring in leadership, to bring in morals, to bring in guys who know how to win. Could you imagine the Texas Rangers signing a hometown guy named Mark Cuban? Mark Cuban doesn't need the money. Obviously, he's a billionaire. But what about the Texas Rangers leveraging the opportunity to bring Mark Cuban into spring training for a week, to just be around these young players who are starting their career, starting their lives really as adults? What if they drafted or signed, whether it's a tech entrepreneur, whether it's a business leader, whether it's a retired sports guy. That, to me, is what the Mets did with Tim Tebow. That's what they did with Russell Wilson. That's my 2 cents. Follow me over on Twitter at PlayInSchool. If you go to playinschool.com/Tim, down below this video and the post, there's a spot where you can comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Now, I'll end you with this. Today I'm recording this on September 28th. Guess what Tim Tebow did today? In his first swing, in a real game against a real pitcher, he went oppo taco, home run in his first swing. So, y'all, the experts who think he can't play baseball, maybe that's just a cherry on top, but I don't think it matters. All right, man. Thanks a lot, guys. Always appreciate y'all listening.